welcome to Cog Hill Golf and Country Club. I'm Adam from Golf Unfiltered. This is my buddy Chris Campbell from Mizuno Golf. Chris, it's good to see you again, buddy.
Adam, it's good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. And we did this last year.
We did.
And I think it's safe to say, Chris, that we're 2 for 2 on optimal club fitting weather. Here
Sadly, we're about double the temperature that we were last year, and we're still under 40 degrees.
That is very true.
It's a little bit better.
So it's a little chilly out here, folks, but the reason that we're here today, I'm very excited. This is going to quickly become my favorite part of the year. Last year, Chris and I came out here. I got fit into the Mizuno Pro 225s, which I played all season. They were fantastic golf clubs. They performed wonderful for me. We're going to go through a full fitting today, Chris, so why don't you let us know a little bit about what our viewers can expect.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to take you through our full shaft optimizer fitting, which we've had this wonderful device. This is our 3rd generation that we've had out now for coming on its 4th year. And this is our Bluetooth unit, which measures 5 different parameters of your golf swing, including club head speed, to make sure that we dial in the correct shaft. We feel that starting and getting you with the correct shaft and then pairing it with obviously a number of different heads that we have is going to maximize your enjoyment of the game, performance, distance, and obviously accuracy.
Awesome.
So this measures club head speed, measures your tempo, measures a factor called toe down, kick angle, and release factor to help us dial in those specific units.
Awesome. And what I remember from last year, wires actually run throughout the shaft.
That is correct. One of the reasons that we use a graphite shaft, so there are 5 what we call strain gauges that are within the sheets of graphite that are woven in within the sheets of graphite to measure all the bending. There's a commercial grade gyro that's inside, so this unit does not know whether you're right-handed or left-handed, whether you shoot 72 or 172. So it measures all those factors and all the bending that the shaft is going to do throughout your golf swing.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, what do we got to start here, Chris?
Yeah, so this is obviously our shaft optimizer. And so what we do is I went ahead and paired the Mizuno Pro 225 that you've tested and played this previous season just to start. Okay. On this point, the head truly doesn't matter. So what we're doing in this process is we're testing to make sure nothing's changed. I think we fit into Modus 105. Yep. We tried out some different shafts and it landed on Modus 105 stiff last year. So what we're going to do is we hit 3 shots with this particular unit. Like I mentioned before, this measures our club head speed, it measures our tempo, which is our transition from our backswing to our downswing. Yep. Basically how fast or how slow. Then it's going to measure a factor called toe down, which is how much the shaft bends going down. In years before, it used to be called shaft droop. Then it's going to measure how much the shaft is bending forward and where we're releasing the golf club to make sure that we select the right shaft that benefits, high spin or early release players, somebody that holds on to it a little bit longer to get the proper launch and proper trajectory. 3 shots with this, averages the 3 shots out, then gives us a top 3 recommendations for shaft, which I have over here in the bags that we can test out, and then we'll give us some other specific options. Typically, we might see some graphites and steels, we'll see some stiffs and regulars, some X's and stiffs. So really what it's going to do is not just say, Adam, you should play a stiff and be pretty generic in the fit. It's going to pinpoint specific shafts based on that shaft's bend profile to recommend the correct fitting for yourself.
Right, because there's no standard flex across
There is no standard flex. That's why we see R's and S's. We see graphites and steels. We see X's and stiffs before. Because as an industry standard, like you mentioned, there is no industry standard. So we're going to see a lot of shafts that kind of, go across one another, both in weight and bend profile. So what we'll do, you've warmed up a little bit. So if you'd like to hit a couple balls, just kind of get used to the unit, you can. As you'll see, we've got different lengths on here. We'll fit into a standard length golf club. So if you want to grip to basically where that red line would be the end of the club, that's going to equate to a standard length 7-iron for you.
All right, let's try it. Now what I like about this optimizer is that, because having gone through this once already with you, it's cool because when I look down at it, some golfers might think, well, this is distracting during my fitting. It really isn't. No. It doesn't add much weight at all, if anything.
Comes out, and another reason people ask, why do we use a graphite shaft? What has to do with weight? Because of that unit. If we had put that unit on a steel shaft, there would be a very, very, very small portion of the golfing public that could use that unit because it would be exceptionally heavy.
All right, let's see how we do here. Gripping down to standard. Not bad for the first swing.
Nice, perfect little high draw. Looks like your standard 7, stock 7.
Yeah, right. You've played golf with me. You know that's not true.
Another factor that didn't mention a couple minutes ago. While doing these 3 swings, this is also digitally going to measure your lie angle.
Oh,
so there's no reason to put the impact tape on the sole and use the kind of old school live boards. So this will be able to dial in, not only give you, make it more accurate, but also save time within the fitting as well.
Nice. All sorts of cool things this thing does. And I've always loved the way that these sound. I mean, obviously the tagline, nothing feels like a Mizuno, is true, and it's been for many years.
This is true. This is true. So what we're going to do, hit a couple, kind of get used to the unit. So we obviously have a fitting app. We have a fitting system. And so we have a fitting app for iPhone or iPad, and we'll go directly to iron fitting. And now we are connected to the shaft optimizer with that little green check mark.
Nice.
And so what I'll ask you to do is hold that unit still for just a second while the two units connect. We're going to prepare that sensor. It's going to go from red to solid blue.
Yep.
Now we can take a swing whenever you are ready.
Awesome. I love the classic rock we got going on in the background, too.
Well, folks, he's hit 3 shots, and they've all been carbon copies of one another. Perfect high draws.
I won't do it again for the entire season.
So here's some of the information that it comes up. So our club head speed right there at 82 miles an hour. We had a tempo, toe down, kick angle of 4, and then a release factor of 5. Okay. So again, we're going to hit 3 shots and average those out.
All right.
So we'll go next and then hold that unit still for just a second. Go from blinking blue to red and now to solid blue.
All right.
You can go.
That one's a little higher.
A little high on the face.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what that comes out as.
So
okay.
80 miles an hour. Not a whole lot changed there in terms of the other numbers. Release factor went up a little bit to 7. And again, averaging those 3 out, we'll see, and hold that unit still for just a second.
A little heavy on that one.
A little heavy on that one. And we average right at 84 or 81, so kind of right in the middle.
Okay.
So this gives us our averages. I'll save some of these for you.
Sure.
And now we go to start fitting.
Oh,
again,
nice.
this is the model. This is the time where we can look at different models. Whether we're into a Mizuno Pro 225, we're into the new JPX923 Forged, Hot Metal Pro Tour, things like that. So really, now we're just going to be looking at specific shaft. We can pair it with any head that we would like. We're going to go back. We're just going to go back to your 225, and we'll go to Performance Fit, which is going to give us the shaft recommendations. Snap this too.
Nice.
So this is going to give us, look what lands at number 1.
What I played last year.
Nippon Pro Modus 105 and stiff, a Project X IO, and also a new addition, which is our KBS Tour Light.
Yep.
And then it gives some additional options, which we can also test out based on your club speed and all the different factors. We're going to be in that, looks like from the top 7, 8 shafts in that 100 to 110 gram range.
Okay.
Basically, we see just about all stiffs on here, some a little bit softer stiff, but that's typically where we're going to land. From a lie angle standpoint,
all right,
we are going to be about a 1/2 degree flat,
which is what we were last year.
So that's exactly what it's going to do. So what that's going to do, that 1/2 degree flat, that slight little draw that we had on the majority of those shots, that is going to essentially take that out.
Yeah.
So if that little draw if your miss is typically a little bit of a pull, this will help reduce some of that. If we want to keep that little natural draw in there and we don't have the left miss, then we can stay away and keep that at a standard lie angle, because we're not obviously very far off of a standard lie golf club.
And so for me, as someone who does hook the ball a lot, that is something that would probably be of a benefit to me. And of course, one of the benefits of getting fit by a fitter like yourself is to understand exactly what the club can do as well as what it does to your swing.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Correct. And obviously, going even more to extremes, if we wanted to draw the ball more, we wanted to draw the ball less, we want to go back to hit a fade, we can adjust those lie angles during the fitting to get the players, obviously the players' wants and the players' needs. If we see the ball going left, see the ball going right, we could recommend maybe something a little bit more upright or a little bit flat, depending on their desired needs and wants.
Perfect. Now, a quick question. So if somebody were to come in like myself who hits it too far left, you're not going to be able to say, okay, well, now you're going to fade the ball every time, right? No. It's still swing matters.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Correct. This will help those extra shots that maybe turn over a little bit too much, from right to left, or if this were a left to right shot, this will help soften the blow, essentially.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Cool. All right, so we've got me fit now, or at least what you've done is built essentially my 7-iron from last year, which is the Mizuno Pro 225.
The same 225 with Modus 105 stiff. It's standard length and standard lie.
All right, so this first step is basically to confirm what we just saw, to kind of give me a baseline, so to speak, or a little bit of a further baseline for the rest of the fitting. Okay. A little thin. Now this doesn't, does this or does this not incorporate the lie angle as well?
That is it. That's its standard lie right now.
Okay,
we do have a couple of flat options that we can test, and one of the other heads that we're going to potentially look at, which is the new 923 forged.
Yep.
We do have that in a flat option, which we can test in a couple minutes.
Cool, cool.
And there's that maybe extra, just a little bit of overdraw
Yep.
that you kind of mentioned earlier, where that slight flat is going to help that.
Yep. And that was a little bit of a cut across swing,
yep.
too, it seemed. Yeah, and that felt a little bit more typical for me, which was a little bit of a draw, and it wasn't too much off the...
So I have my TrackMan set up.
There we go.
So to kind of give you some extra confidence in that shaft optimizer in terms of club head speed of 83 miles an hour.
Fair
so
enough.
It is absolutely spot on with TrackMan 4. We can see launch angle at 17.5, that carry distance of 161, spin rate right about 5,800. Pretty good 7-iron right there.
Yeah, not bad at all. And this is going to speak to the forgiveness of these clubs too. I hit that a little on the toe, and so I'm interested to see what the numbers say.
Yeah. So 82 miles an hour, spin rate down just a touch, which we can typically see. Ball speed stayed exactly the same at 113, so extremely stable. Carry distance is actually 1 yard farther.
See,
the previous one carried 161.
That's forgiveness, folks. That's what you want to get here.
That's right.
All right. So maybe one more with this?
Yeah, one more with that one.
All right, that one was definitely thin. Definitely thin and it leaks to the right.
Which we can see. Ball speed down about 3 miles an hour.
Makes sense.
Spin rate right about the same, about 5,700. And we drop some carry distance, of course, being off center down at 155.
That makes sense. Okay. And that's what I like about the feel of these too, as well as most or all of the Mizuno stuff, is that I knew where I hit that. So I know now that I'm not going to hit it perfect every time, so I know what to adjust on the next one.
So let's stay with that same 225 head, and let's test one of the other top recommended shafts, which the first we're going to go, which is going to be the new Project X IO, which is in a 6.0, which is at 110 grams. So just a couple of grams heavier than what we just tried. This is not graphite. This is a stepless process. So this is a nice satin finish got on this shaft.
It does, like you said, it appears graphite. It is not. It looks really great. And let's see how this performs. Now, this was number 2 on the list of
top recommended shafts. That's correct.
Okay. Well, that was solid.
So slightly flatter in lie angle. I'm sorry, launch angle. Just under 16. That carried at 167.
Okay.
And ball speed up almost 2 miles an hour to just shy of 115. Club head speed stayed exactly the same at 82 miles an hour. So we definitely did pick up a few more yards in terms of overall carry and total distance. Still within the parameters of both launch and spin rate to get that ball properly stopping.
Yep. Maybe a touch heavy.
Okay. Still maintained about 113 ball speed, carry distance of 162. So basically drop back to the previous shaft when we hit one. And you said you hit that a little bit off center.
Yep.
Okay.
Still pretty good though. I mean, that's not going to punish me.
No, and your dispersion with all 5 of the shots that we've tracked so far are pretty nice. That circle's pretty tight regardless of shaft. Obviously, we have one that's about 6 yards farther.
Yep. Okay. Little left.
Tugged that one a little bit. Yep. Definitely off center. The ball speed was down just a touch, a couple miles an hour, and launch and carry turned that one over some. So that one was definitely kind of a outlier there.
It was. And so at this point, it's a matter of, getting the feel in a fitting. For those who've not gone through a fitting before, you go through it, you get a feel for the different options, and then ultimately we're going to let the numbers and data tell us what is best for us.
Correct.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a say
Absolutely.
in feel.
Because there is a feel that only you, that the information that's up through the shaft and into your hands in terms of the overall feel, that is definitely going to be something that's up to you. I can tell you all the specs, weight, and characteristics of the shaft, and you can tell me this one's better than this one because it feels a little bit better. You know, we still want to rely on the numbers.
Sure.
You know, if there's one that definitely sets itself apart, feel is a part of it for sure.
Maybe a groove or two low.
About a little bit low on the face because ball speed was down about a mile an hour.
Okay.
Carry distance at 159.
Okay.
So pretty close. We've got that nice solid grouping. We've got the one outlier to the left and then kind of one outlier that was a little bit farther, but still a pretty solid grouping of 5 out of 7 balls that are hitting the green. That's not too bad of an average, right?
Yeah. No,
You'd probably take hitting 5 out of 7 greens.
100% I would. That's what.
Yep.
Definitely. All right. Maybe one more? Or?
Yes, one more.
Okay.
And then we'll go on to the KBS Tour Light.
Awesome.
That struck very well there.
Yeah, I hit that one pretty good.
Yep. That's going to be right there, dead in the center of that grouping.
Yeah.
Ball speed at 114, carry of 163,
Yep.
and great spin and launch. So,
perfect. All right, let's try the other one.
Good option.
All right, so now we've got the third highest recommended shaft.
That is correct.
Okay.
This rounds out the top 3, and then I potentially have one other option that I want to throw in.
All right. Pretty good. A little bit of a fade. That could be wind because it is blowing that way a little.
We got the highest ball speed so far of 116, so that was struck incredibly solid.
Wow.
That carry at 168, so that now by 1 yard would be the longest carry, and that was absolutely dead on the center line.
Interesting. Okay. So you mean it matters when you hit it on the center of the face?
It does. The center of the face will do a lot for distance.
Okay, a little bit of a fade again, which I don't mind. With this wind, it could mean that it's a straight ball, and it just leaked a little.
Definitely off center as speed was down a little bit.
Okay.
How does that feel? Is that one is quite a bit lighter? You're 6 to 10 grams lighter than the 2 previous shafts. So how does that feel overall weight?
I can feel the club head more with this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not distractingly different.
Okay.
But I could definitely feel the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. And truth be told, I have played a set with this shaft before. So it's nice to know a little bit.
Okay.
Felt solid.
Very.
Okay.
Just slightly left to center. Great ball speed of 115, carry of 166. So that is right there within that grouping.
Yep.
Again, we have basically two shots out of the about 10 that we've hit so far that would be kind of those outliers. Okay. One to the left, one to the right that probably wouldn't have hit the green.
So as people are watching this, they're probably noticing, okay, the yardages are right around the same ballpark. This isn't going to tell me, at least in these 3, which is a testament to the shaft optimizer, that, you know what, I could potentially go with any of these 3. But we're going to dial it in even further.
Absolutely.
With averages and the data.
No question.
Yeah.
Great swing there.
Yeah, that one felt really good.
Yep. That's right dead center. That spin rate was down just a touch, but overall that is right in the center of the grouping at 166 and ball speed of 114. May have a little bit more comfortableness with that Modus 105 than you played it for a full season. You know, we don't want to necessarily go in with just that one shot that went a couple yards farther and say this is the one. Because again, in the iron game, it's about hitting the shots the specific distances, not just maximizing distance. That's more for a fitting for a driver, is trying to maximize, hit it as far as humanly possible.
Right.
These are obviously precision tools that we want to make sure that we can consistently hit those 110, 160, 140 yard shots on a consistent basis.
Makes sense to me.
So now we're going to test the new 923 Forged, which is released actually tomorrow for fitting heads. So we're going to get a little sneak peek on this one. We're going to start testing with the Modus 105 stiff shaft.
Okay, and this is the shaft the first shaft I
This was
tested.
the first shaft.
It was the highest recommended.
That is correct.
Okay.
This was at the top of recommendations.
So let's try this here. Well, right away, I love the look of the club head. Well, that felt amazing. Holy cow.
Okay.
That felt pretty darn good.
So these are the same loft golf clubs,
Yeah.
by the way. So that loft structure is exactly the same as the 225. Okay. So that ball speed is our highest. That's at 116 and a carry of 168. So this gets it out there in terms of the farthest. Again, this is right dead center, the middle of that grouping. Yeah. Great spin rate. Launch was a touch lower than the other ones. It's about 16.5, which is still wonderful for a 7-iron.
Yeah. I just want to brag, too. I mean, I hit this right in the middle of the face, too, so that doesn't happen very often.
Got to brag. You got a great golf swing.
All right, here we go. Top line doesn't look too thick at all. It's very much of a player's look. All right, that was heavy. Okay. That was heavy and off the toe, and I got punished for it.
There's the low left.
Yep. Which, again, I see that as a benefit because I can still feel where I hit it. Mm-hmm. So that's good. And I also got punished for bragging about hitting the middle of the club face on that one. So that's the only thing that could have possibly happened next.
Okay.
Yeah, the sound is great.
Good solid shot there again. Yeah. Right in the middle of that grouping. We've got 4 shots that are kind of the outliers.
Yep.
Out of the 12 or so that we've hit.
Maybe a touch heavy.
Okay. Maybe a little high on the face.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because spin dropped just a touch and ball speed was down just a little bit.
Overall, though, I mean, these feel incredible. They look great.
So forged chromoly, just like we have with 225. So the feel should be very similar. The only difference with 225 is you do have that layer of copper. So maybe a tiny bit softer feel. That'd be about it.
They do feel soft. The blade length is great too. It's not too long. Maybe a little bit of a tug.
Just a little tug to the left.
Yeah, but not bad overall.
Okay.
No.
All right. Now I want to test this head and the Project X IO shaft and see how that combo does.
All right, what do we got now? We've got the Project X IO, which was the second highest recommended shaft.
Correct.
With the 923 head. See how this goes. Now this was fractionally the longer shaft of the 3.
Correct, in terms of distance, yes.
In terms of distance, yeah, okay. That ball is much higher.
They did launch a little higher.
Yeah.
Right at about 18 degrees ball speed up there, carry at 165. So right dead in the center of the grouping.
And so that's another thing where the player's preference of how it looks, trajectory, everything comes into play.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. That is an outlier.
Just slightly lower.
Yeah.
Just a little draw, maybe a little toe shot because that spin rate went down a touch.
Okay.
But still, your carry 164. That's towards the left side of the grouping. So I was sitting there counting. So you have basically 16 shots within that circle.
Not bad.
16 of the 21 shots that we've hit so far.
Not too bad. Not too bad. And I can already tell from my preference, this one for me probably isn't what I would choose.
Okay. Modus.
The Modus still, I think, for my money.
From a consistency standpoint, really, Adam, that's what it's about. Then you go and hit one like that.
Yeah, I know. It hit solid, but it's definitely a higher ball flight. Yeah, that's 170 carry, of course.
Then you hit that one with the highest ball speed by a mile and a half, mile an hour and a half.
Never talk about anything because you're going to do the exact opposite.
That's proof.
Yeah,
that's proof right there that everybody's listening, and you're going to absolutely pure one.
All right, but that's interesting too because that was one out of How many?
And we can just as well call that an outlier
Yes.
as we can the ones that go far left and the far right too.
Yep.
Because we can't. That's what we talked about earlier. We can't base it on one shot going extraordinarily far.
Yep.
Because even though that spin rate still is right in the middle, because that is absolutely. I mean, you can't put it on the center line more than on the center line with that one. But again, that's that one. You talked about it earlier of the performance and the consistency that we see here with the numbers of that Modus 105 shaft and this head.
Okay. All right, Chris. Well, we went through an entire fitting. We tried a lot of different shafts out as recommended by the Shaft Optimizer, including the top 3. I tried the Mizuno Pro 225s from that I played last year.
Yes.
And now the new 923 JPXs as well. What do we end up with?
We ended up from, again, as we talked about during the fitting, is we want something that was not only gave you more ball speed, gave you the accuracy, but most importantly, gave you the consistency which you're looking for. So what we found is, again, both heads worked extraordinarily well. The Mizuno Pro, the 225, has been out for a year. It still holds its head very well, and you said, wow, continually said, wow, this feels good, the ball flight's good, this is comfortable, this is something you're used to. We landed on, again, improving performance a little bit by gaining you a little bit more ball speed, and again, helping get that concentration nice and tight with that shot shape. And we landed on the 923 forged, pairing it up with the same shaft that you played last year, which would be the Nippon Modus 105 in a stiff. We are going to gain, as we tested kind of off camera a couple minutes ago, one of the flat Langle heads, and it did definitely solidify that half a degree to possibly 1 degree flat for you is going to work, because we tested one that was 2 degrees flat and noticed the ball substantially hanging to the right, a little bit more than you were used to.
Yeah, right.
So with that absolutely solidified that we do need to stick with that, from half a degree to 1 degree flat to help reduce those kind of misses to the left. But that's that would be my firm recommendation for you.
Excellent, excellent. And what I really liked about this process is it not only validated the performance of the 225s. This is not to say that this is necessarily better than the other one for me. They're still great golf clubs, and I could have easily gone back to the 225, but like you just described, there were some metrics, at least for my game, that were optimized with the new 923 forged.
Yep. Ball speed up and a little bit and some extra stability, always something that we can all enjoy.
Well, sir, thanks again for helping me out with this fitting. I'm excited to play these this season, and hopefully it gets a little bit warmer because I can't wait to get these back on the course. Go ahead and give me a subscribe, and thanks for watching.